Liam Delap couldn't have asked for a better way to announce himself at Chelsea. After years grinding through multiple tough loan spells and finally smashing goals at Ipswich, he lands in the big time, walks onto the pitch at the Club World Cup, and drops a sublime assist in his first 26 minutes. It showed he means business. Delap's journey has been anything but straight. Now, he's faced with another as he goes into the future wearing the number 9 shirt at Stamford Bridge, ready to write his next chapter. So here's what we're digging at. How has the journey been so far for the youngster? And is he about to take a serious run at England's future number 9 role? Stick around, it's about to get good. But first, if you're vibing with this, hit like and subscribe before we dive deep. After what looked like it was going to drag on and become one of those long, dramatic transfer deals where we all sit around refreshing Twitter on deadline day, Liam Delap turned the tables and shocked everyone by sealing his Chelsea move early. And not just early, fast. So fast, in fact, that the boy didn't just get through the door in time for a photo shoot and a handshake, he actually made it into the Club World Cup squad. And not just to make up the numbers either, he was in the lineup and already making an impact in his first game. Now, if you're a Chelsea fan, there's no way you're not excited. No way you're not feeling a little flutter of hope in your chest after Monday's game. Especially when we all know that the striker situation at the Bridge has been shaky at best. Between Jackson's hot and cold form, Marquis still finding his rhythm, and Lukaku not quite hitting the ground running, it's felt like Chelsea have been playing musical chairs with the number 9 shirt and nobody wants to sit in it for too long. But is Delap going to be that guy? Like, is he really the one to finally break the curse, bring some swagger back to that position, and shake things up for real? One thing's for sure. He's not just some random academy lad. The boy's got football in his blood. Literally. If you didn't already know, Liam is the son of Rory Delap. Yeah, that Rory Delap. The human slingshot himself. One of those proper Barclays-era players who used to terrorize defenses with long throws that felt like missiles. Liam's old man was a Premier League cult hero with 358 top-flight appearances across clubs like Derby County, Southampton, Sunderland, and Stoke City. Rory Delap carved out a name that football nerds and old-school fans still throw around with respect. But beyond the long throw-ins and midfield hustle, Rory's most important assist might have come off the pitch because while he was still wearing Southampton colours in 2003, he brought Liam into the world. Now, growing up in Winchester, Liam wasn't just the son of a footballer. He was raised in the shadow of football. He saw the sacrifices, the discipline, the grind, and that upbringing shaped him. You could say Liam grew up with one eye on the game and the other on the legacy he was expected to carry. But deep down, he wanted to do more than carry the torch. He wanted to flip the script. He kicked off his own football journey at Derby County's academy when he was just 6. And right from the jump, Liam made it clear he wasn't going to be a carbon copy of his dad. While Rory did his thing in the midfield, Liam moved up front, putting himself right in the heart of the action. By the time he hit 13, Liam was already towering over most of his peers. At school, they had him playing rugby because he was built like a mini tank. And on the tracks, he was excelling in the 100-meter and 200-meter. The kid was an all-rounder, and it's no surprise he was already dominating his peers on the football pitch. Delap started to get the attention of scouts around England, and so it was a matter of time before he was going to make that move. And so after spending a full decade grinding it out at Derby, he made the big leap in July 2019, joining Manchester City. And not just any city side, he landed right in the middle of what's now being called a golden generation of academy talent. You had Cole Palmer, Romeo Lavia, who are currently his teammates at Chelsea in that squad. There was James McAtee, who's currently in the senior city team, and Morgan Rogers, who's now at Aston Villa. And the manager of that squad was none other than Enzo Maresca. Yup, that Enzo Maresca. The same guy now in charge at Chelsea, the same guy trusted with guiding the next generation at Stamford Bridge, was the mastermind behind City's youth setup at the time. And under him, that youth team was a proper B team. A strategic stepping stone built to mirror the first team's principles so that when Pep needed someone, he could pluck a player straight out of Maresca's squad without disrupting the system. It was brilliant. And Delap flourished in that setup. From the get-go, he let everyone know he was not there to warm benches. In his first season with the youth team, he banged 9 goals and dished out 8 assists in just 19 appearances. But it was the following year, the 2020-21 season, where Delap exploded onto the scene like a striker possessed. That season, Maresca placed him right at the heart of the attack, and Liam responded like a man on a mission. He didn't just score goals, he shattered records. 24 goals in 20 games. And they weren't just tap-ins either. He was scoring all kinds of goals. Headers, left foot, right foot, powerful drives, delicate finishes. It was a masterclass in striker play, and it didn't go unnoticed. City lifted their first ever Premier League 2 title that season, and a huge chunk of that credit went to Delap. By the end of it all, he he was named the Premier League 2 Player of the Season, and honestly, no one even came close. Delap's red-hot form with the youth team that season didn't go unnoticed, and it didn't take long before he was knocking on the first-team door. In fact, the door wasn't just open, it was kicked wide open. On a cool night in September 2020, just 17 years old, Liam Delap made his senior debut for Manchester City in the EFL Cup against Bournemouth and wasted absolutely no time. 18 minutes into the game, he scored a goal that made him become City's youngest debutant goal scorer in 7 years. Just 3 days later, Delap found himself in the Premier League making his debut against Leicester City. It all felt like it was happening fast, and honestly, it was. The trajectory was sky high, but as we all know, football can be cruel. And the following season dealt him a tough hand. Injuries. The worst kind of interruption for a young, hungry striker on the rise. Delap spent the 2021-22 campaign battling niggles and setbacks that kept him out of action for a big chunk of the season. While his mates were gaining momentum and Pep was rotating his squad for key matches, Liam was stuck on the sidelines watching it all unfold. It was rough. He managed 15 games in all competitions that year, but in typical Delap fashion, he didn't let that stop him entirely. He went back to the PL2 side and did what he always does: deliver. 8 goals and 2 assists in limited minutes. But with the senior squad, just 5 appearances, no goals, no assists. It wasn't the setup he had hoped for, but nobody was doubting the talent. Timing just wasn't on his side. And just when you think, okay, maybe next season is his, Erling Haaland walks in. The Nordic cyborg, the goal machine, the guy who scores hat-tricks like it's a hobby. With Haaland now the face of City's attack, Delap's chances of breaking through got even slimmer. A 3-year contract extension might have felt like security, but in reality, it marked the beginning of a new phase, the loan carousel. But before we get into all that bouncing around, let's take a quick moment. If you're enjoying the ride so far, go ahead and hit that like button, smash the subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Done? Sweet. Let's keep going. After just 2 Premier League appearances and a brief Champions League cameo against Sporting CP, it became clear that Liam Delap needed consistent minutes, and he wasn't going to get that at City with Haaland tearing up the league. So for the 2022-23 season, the loan train officially left the station. First stop, Stoke City is the same club his dad used to play for. Now, Stoke might not be the flashiest destination, but for a young striker to cut his teeth in senior football, it was a proper test. Physical league, gritty games, and no handouts. And to his credit, Delap didn't take long to get off the mark. He got his first goal, and by the time he wrapped up his stint there, he'd made 23 appearances and scored 3 times. Not eye-popping numbers, but steady for a teenager adapting to the championship's brutality. Then January rolled around and City pulled him back, not to keep him, but to reroute him again. Preston North End was next on the list. Another loan, another environment, another chance to prove himself. It wasn't glamorous, but this was character-building stuff. The kind of journey that separates the hype from the substance. Ahead of the next campaign, it was time for a fresh start and a more structured opportunity. So Delap joined Hull City on a season-long loan. And right out of the gate, boom, goal on his debut. No nerves, no warming up, just business. By December, he was flying and got named Hull's Player of the Month. It was clear. This was the loan that finally felt like momentum. Then came the real turning point. July 2024. A permanent move. No more temporary stopgaps or short-term patches. Ipswich Town, newly promoted and looking to build something serious, signed Liam Delap on a 5-year deal reportedly worth up to £20 million. For a player who'd spent the last few years bouncing from club to club, this was finally home. And Liam made sure to repay the faith. 12 goals and 37 Premier League appearances. Solid, respectable. But more than the stats, it was the moments that stood out. Because Liam Delap always finds a way to have a highlight reel moment in every chapter of his career, and at Ipswich, it was that unforgettable day when he scored and assisted in a win over Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea, the very club he now plays for. Delap helped Ipswich seal their first Premier League home win since 2002 and their first victory over Chelsea since 1993. That's the kind of performance that sticks in fans' memories forever. And if you're wondering whether that game played a role in convincing Chelsea to come knocking later on, well, let's just say football has a funny way of rewarding full circle moments. But then again, how good is this guy really? Have Chelsea finally found their striker who can break the curse of the number 9 shirt? Or is this just another promising name that'll get swallowed up by the pressure at Stamford Bridge? On paper, Liam Delap looks like the real deal. Standing at 6'1", built like someone who did more than their fair share of gym sessions and track meets, he's not just strong, he's explosive. This isn't your old school target man who just bullies defenders and waits for crosses. Delap has that rare blend of physical presence and modern dynamism. He holds the ball up like a seasoned vet, shrugs off challenges like he's brushing lint off his shoulder, and then boom, he's off, turning that hold-up play into a full-blown counterattack. But here's the thing. If you're still thinking of him as some basic battering ram, you haven't been paying attention. Because last season at Ipswich, his 12 goals for a team that was just fighting for survival was 33% of all their goals. And he didn't just get lucky either. He overperformed his expected goals by 2.7. That means he was finishing chances most strikers would fluff. His shot conversion rate, a clean 17.7%. For context, Nicholas Jackson, Chelsea's main man up front, sat at 13.2. Not slander, just facts. Delap also has a thing for the box as he registered 48 shots for Ipswich last season from close range, double what anyone else at the club managed. That's poacher's territory. That's someone who knows exactly where to be and when to be there. But he's not just a fox in the box. Oh no. Delap ranked first among all central strikers for carries that ended in a shot. 26 of them. That's someone driving at defenders, not waiting around. Add 411 final third pressures and third most in the league, and you start seeing the bigger picture. He's not just hungry, he's relentless. And here's where it gets juicy, the chemistry. Because if there's one player who knows how to feed Delap, it's Cole Palmer. These two go way back. Manchester City Academy, where they lost just 2 games in 33 together. They know each other's moves like second nature. You saw a glimpse of it already with Delap's Chelsea debut, quick sub against LAFC, and minutes later, he's teeing up Enzo Fernandez like he's been in the squad for years. That wasn't luck, that was rhythm. And Delap did all of that in his first game wearing his Chelsea number 9 shirt, a jersey that has become a symbol of unfulfilled promise, worn by names that carried heavy expectations but ultimately fell short. We're talking about guys like Torres, Lukaku, Aubameyang. That jersey has crushed egos and turned hype into headlines. It is too soon to say already, but if there's anyone that might just break that number 9 jersey curse, then it could be Liam Delap. Those early loans from back in the days that were pretty much disappointing spells were experiences that have hardened him. They taught him to fight, to stay hungry when things weren't going his way. So by the time he landed at Ipswich, he was ready, not just to play, but to lead. Now, under Enzo Maresca at Chelsea, the pieces finally align. This isn't Ipswich's hit and hope football. Chelsea under Maresca will boss possession, look for spaces, and play through the lines. That means the striker needs to be clever, not just clinical. And that's where Delap shines. His decoy runs pull defenders into no man's land. He creates gaps for others the same way Raheem Sterling once thrived off De Bruyne's vision at City. That movement, it's calculated, it's purposeful, and Maresca knows it. He saw it firsthand when Delap smashed records under his coaching in City's academy. It doesn't mean Liam will walk into the 11, but it does mean he'll get his chances. So yeah, Chelsea might have just done it. They might have signed the striker who doesn't just bring goals, but brings balance, work rate, and that rare, silent confidence. Delap's story is still being written, but so far, the pages are turning fast and they're loud. And just like that, we've come to the end of today's video. Before you go, let's throw a couple of big questions your way. Do you think Liam Delap truly has what it takes to break that number 9 curse at Chelsea? Or will the pressure of the Premier League and expectations at a club like this eventually catch up with him like it has with so many before? If you've got thoughts, you already know the drill. Drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss out when we drop something fresh. And hey, if you enjoyed this one, stick around. We've got another deep dive coming up that you don't want to miss. See you in the next video.